Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would call Jefferson Howells from Purdue University and City Burke in the city of Lafayette. Please. Smokey, do you have anything that you'd like to say, or do you want to wait until we're done?
I'll just say it might take a back seat to other things that are happening in the world around us today, but this is severe weather and flood preparedness week. And the weather's still going to happen, but our other issues and problems that we have. So we just want everybody to be aware of what's happening and have a plan so they can react, have a shelter at work, at home, or at school, wherever they're at. I guess they're not going to be at school now, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So what we'll do is I'll have you guys do 2, and then if you can do the second 2. Sure. And then I'll finish.
Okay. All right. All right, this is the proclamation for the Severe Weather and Flood Preparedness Week, March 15th through the 21st, 2020. Whereas the months of March through June present the highest risk for severe thunderstorms and tornadoes to strike Tippecanoe County, and whereas Tippecanoe County is located within the nation's tornado belt, becoming a prime target of devastating tornado outbreaks and other types of severe weather.
Great, thank you. A statewide tornado warning exercise will be held on March 18th, 2020 at 10:15 in the morning. The purpose for this testing is to test communication systems, equipment, and procedures. And during this week, the Tippecanoe County Emergency Management is emphasizing safety procedures involving tornado activity.
Whereas we, the undersigned, do hereby proclaim the week of March 15th through the 21st, 2020 as Severe Weather and Flood Preparedness Week in Tippecanoe County, and we encourage all citizens to become aware of tornado danger signs and to learn how to safeguard the lives of their family, friends, and citizenry in the event of severe weather activity in our area.
Thank you all.
Our next order of business is the approval of our minutes from our March 2nd meeting.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion we approve those minutes as submitted.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Presentation of our accounts, payables, and vouchers and payroll.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the accounts payables from March 3rd to March 16th be paid as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion also passes.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the March 6th payroll as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes. Awarding of bids for our Phase 5 of the Fairgrounds contract.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the demolition to Denny Excavating in the amount of $258,400 and the paving to Milestone Contractors with the alternate one of $554,300.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Highway.
Good morning. Got some quick and easy items here today. First item on our list is the closing of Washington, Columbia, Main, and Mulberry Streets in West Point for the Lions Club Car Show on May 2nd. This is an annual event we can look forward to.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion we grant the permission to close the block or road for Lions Club Car Show on May 2nd.
Second.
You have a motion to second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
We also have a $5,000 utility maintenance bond for First Time Development Corporation for work in the public right of way.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes.
And the continuation of the Indiana American Water Company bond for work in the right of way in the amount of $5,000.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion passes.
We have 2 bid bonds from Reith Riley Construction for County Road 200 North Curb Correction and County Road 600 North Curb Correction that were awarded last meeting. 200 North is a $385,021 project, and 600 North is a $473,267 project.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we, approve both bid bonds as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for approval as stated. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Good morning, Rebecca.
This is an agreement with IU Health for our medical consultations. This is actually a negotiated rate less than what we've paid in the past. I'm asking for your approval on that.
And is it $100 a month?
$100 per month.
That's, okay.
It was $1,000 per quarter.
Wow. All right. Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve this medical consultation agreement for Carry Home/Youth Services as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. Kent? It's Pictometry. It's 47,629.
Morning.
Morning.
Can I start?
Go ahead, sir.
Move the microphone around there.
Poor weather conditions last fall prevented Pictometry flights. So we've split the contract and moved last year's into this fall's, but we need a stopgap. So this contract's for the 2020 flight.
All right. Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve this agreement with Pictometry International Corp. in the amount of $47,629.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Thank you, Ken. Morning, Sheriff.
Hello. What I'm asking for, and I think I've discussed this with some of you, is a study done that only focuses on the administration side of our facility. We did have the jail study that was completed recently, but I would like some DLZ in this case to come back in and focus only on the administrative side. See what we can do with the space that we have. I'm gonna have some safety concerns for our staff, but somebody to come in and look at that is what I would like to have done.
Yeah,
Mr. President, I move that we,
Hold on just a second.
yeah, hang on a second. What is the dollar amount? Here it is.
Mr. President, I move that we approve this agreement of DLZ to look at the office study in a total amount of $8,250.
I'll second that and also add that I think this is a smart idea
Thank
while
you.
we're looking at this, that we look at the entire
Just
picture.
look at all as a whole.
Exactly.
Thank you
So-
very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Did we already vote on that?
No, we did not vote.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. And the motion passes. Hi, Sharon.
Morning. Minor adjustment. The permission to ask for, the Health Department would like to look for $60,000 from the Indiana State Department of Health to provide the county-wide services to improve the immunization rates for youth and infants, as well as to reduce the vaccine waste.
Mr. President, I move that we grant permission to apply for the Health Department as stated.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passes.
And the Drug-Free Coalition of Tippecanoe County has released their grant application, and we have the Health Department, the Sheriff, and Community Corrections. So can those all be lumped in one, or do they have to be separate?
It can be together unless one of them wants to pull one out.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion. We grant permission to apply for funding from the Drug-Free Coalition for the Health Department, the Sheriff's Department, and Community Corrections.
Second.
We have a motion to grant permission to apply for the 3 grants as outlined. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank
And that
you.
motion passes.
And the last one that we're applying for is with Emergency Management as well as the Do It Department. The 2020 SHSP Cybersecurity Investment Funding for looking for new equipment to be used to enhance the critical infrastructure of our current cybersecurity, requesting $45,000.
Mr. President, I move that we grant permission to apply for the MA Do It as stated.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Thank
Motion
you.
passes. Doug, would you like to talk about resolution number 2020-10-CM?
Yeah. This is an emergency, we call it an emergency stay-home pay resolution. It gives the Board of Commissioners, and particularly the President of the Board, flexibility to issue an emergency declaration in response to the COVID-19 emergency to direct that some or all county employees refrain from coming to their workstations during the emergency. As part of such a declaration, it gives the President of the Board the authority to provide that the employees directed to stay home receive pay for their regularly scheduled non-overtime work hours. If that declaration is made, if some or all of the employees' job functions can be performed from home, the employee is expected to perform those job functions. During the employee's regularly scheduled non-overtime work hours, the employee is considered on call and must be available to respond to county officials and be available to return to the employee's workstation within 2 hours if called. If the employee's being paid to stay home, they can't work or earn compensation from another source during their scheduled non-overtime work hours. If the President makes this declaration, it can't exceed 2 weeks without an approval of the majority of the board. So the majority of the board would have to give approval to extend this. It also provides that where an individual employee has been ordered by state or local health officials to quarantine, the employee can be compensated without using employee vacation or sick leave benefits. And then it gives more general flexibility. An employee may be reassigned to duties the President, the Board, or a department head deems necessary to support the essential functions of county government. And in the event the President of the Board is unavailable, the Vice President assumes those powers that the President had. And if both the President and Vice President, then the remaining member of the Board has the authority. And it remains in effect until the declaration of public health emergency by the Health Department is rescinded.
Thank you. Well, for our staff and members of the public in the audience this morning, we are certainly in uncharted waters right now. And our plan is, and while I can say this confidently today, circumstances always change. We certainly want to keep government open. I think we all agree with that, but we are dealing with some situations at a time that it's unlike anything that we've ever dealt with before. So that could mean that at some point in time we have to alter or even cease certain operations, and we've seen that going on across the country, and even in the city of West Lafayette, as last week they announced that the water department would not be open to the public, but they would still be open for business, and they were finding other ways to conduct their business that, quite frankly, put employees and the public in a much better situation. So this is an evolving situation. And again, this is just foundational information that gives us the ability to act and react under the circumstances. So with that, I would open it up to any questions that the board may have about the resolution.
I have none.
Well, and this does kind of somewhat answer the question, since a lot of the schools are closed, we may have parents that need to be home. The department head can deem them still able to work at home. This will follow kind of underneath this, Doug, I mean, also, or?
It could. I think the at least the president of the Board of Commissioners would have to give that authority to the department head under the circumstances.
And we are having those discussions. They're very fresh right now to determine what direction is best that gives, quite frankly, again, provides for the safety and well-being of staff, but at the same time to allow us to have the ability to continue to serve the public.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion, we approve Resolution 2020-10-CM.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, and that motion passes. Next resolution, Doug.
Yeah, this is actually ordinance 2020-02-CM, regulation of traffic in a residential complex. So the Indiana General Assembly under statute has created a mechanism by which the sheriff can enforce traffic laws in a private roads basically owned by apartment complexes. And it would apply in this case to a complex that contains at least 5 units. The owner of the residential complex would have to make the request of the commissioners and then enter into a contract with the sheriff's department for the enforcement. So this just basically creates the flexibility that if a owner wants enforcement in their private drives, they can enter into a contract with the sheriff.
Okay. Sheriff, any comments?
Mr. President, I move that we hear ordinance 2020-02-CM.
That's all right. So we have a motion to hear it.
Right.
I'm sorry, I second.
Okay. Sheriff?
No, sorry, we talked earlier. No, I think Prosecutor Harrington brought this up to me a while back. The Lafayette Police Department does it. I do not know about the West Lafayette Police Department, but he was, as Prosecutor Harrington goes and speaks at the State House, the more people are on board for this, the more it gives them some backing to pass it again for next year, because I believe it expires December 31st of this year, if I remember right. But as he's going in these hearings, it would help us, because as you know, we have a lot of apartment complexes that people are getting in crashes, OWI, driving while suspended, and things like that. We can't enforce those type of things on that private property. So there are some apartment complexes I'm certain will come to you and want us to enter into a contract with them. So I think it's a useful tool and a great way to provide services to the complexes.
Well, the one question I had about this, though, is if we accept those streets from those apartment complexes into our highways doing cleaning
I don't
and
think
stuff.
it doesn't have anything to do with county
Okay,
highway.
that-
It's specific to
I'm just
traffic
figuring if the
enforcement.
county's accepting the streets, why wouldn't your authority then go with the street?
It doesn't go with the street. Well, we don't maintain the roads. We don't plow, pave them, nothing like that. It's private property. If we get, and we're in there because we get called, but to be able to enforce somebody blows through a stop sign, you can stop them. There isn't really anything you can do to them, though. You can't write a ticket. I personally had a crash when we still had Walmart, and the guy was suspended the whole 9 yards, and unknowingly I sent everything up and got it all back because they said you can't enforce that. It's private property, much like a farm when little Johnny's driving the truck everywhere.
So Sheriff, what you'd be doing then is you would be bringing agreements to us, or would the sheriff, would those have to come to us?
The way the statute's written, the private property owner needs to make a request to you all. And then you would approve that request, but then it has the sheriff entering into the actual contract.
And we have the paperwork from the Lafayette Police Department. We're doing it, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're copying what they're doing because it already works, and they went through all the legalities of it.
And I think I have some forms attached to your resolution, or to your.
But I believe it's on us to educate them that is out there now. And that's a simple thing of just having guys stop in at the office.
And are you good with us setting this for a second hearing at our next meeting?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm going to guess it'll take a little while to get paperwork flowing and things like that anyway. You can
Yeah,
start
like-
doing what you're
Like I
doing.
said, we already have, I think we have all of it. Captain Hangy has all the paperwork.
Okay. Any public comment on this ordinance? Seeing none? Or no one?
Brown,
Yes.
Murtaugh,
Yes.
Byers.
Yes.
Ordinance 2020-02, CM passes 3-0 on first reading.
And again,
We'll make
set
sure
that
we
for
get the
next
rest of the documents to you if you don't already have them. All right, thank you.
meeting. Okay, now I want to go to Resolution 2020-11-CM. And back to Doug.
Copy of
Here you
the
go.
agenda. No, I got this one, I'm good. So this is a resolution that provides guidance from the commissioners to other governing bodies in the county. So, BZA, county council, this isn't necessarily binding on them, but it tries to balance public health concerns with restrictions on having events that have 50 or more people, and trying to accommodate the open door law at the same time. So the resolution says that it will be the presiding officer of any governing body that generally makes these determinations. It recommends that non-urgent agenda items, particularly ones that'll attract a lot of public interest, if they're non-urgent, should be postponed. If a meeting agenda doesn't include urgent items, consideration should be given to canceling or postponing the meeting. The governing body should take advantage of the county's streaming capabilities whenever possible to allow interested members of the public to view proceedings remotely. At a meeting where 50 people or more, inclusive of staff members, staff and members of the governing body are in attendance, the presiding officer may direct that members of the public be removed or excluded from the meeting room. When determining who can stay and who has to leave, the presiding officer should give priority to individuals with a direct interest in the proceedings, members of the media, individuals chosen by other concerned citizens as spokespersons for the concerns of the group, and those who have arrived earliest. All of these meetings should be recorded, and that resolution remains in effect until declaration of a public health emergency by the health department is rescinded.
Thank
So
you.
normally, just to get to another issue, normally, you're supposed to have a room open to the public that's sufficient to accommodate the size of the crowd who's going to be interested. Your guidance here is trying to make sure that, to the extent possible, you're not drawing crowds that you don't have to. And then if you have more than 50 show up, it's analogous to having a meeting in a room where you've unexpectedly had more crowd than you could accommodate in that room. You're not violating the open door law if once in a while somebody has to stand in the hall or just can't be accommodated because of the fire code or something. Here, it's a little like having a situation where you don't have any rooms that can accommodate crowds more than 50 because the county health department and CDC have recommended that you avoid meetings with more than 50. So that's what we're trying to do is strike that balance.
Any questions for Doug?
For example, if there's an event still trying to be hosted at the fairgrounds, and that may be more than 50 people, we then have the authority to say cancel that event and such, or?
That's a little different. Right here, you're just giving guidance to other public boards on how to run their business. I think that would be up to, it depends on the event who has the authority to do it. I mean, you're landlords, so you probably have some authority. The local health officer generally has the most authority in these circumstances in terms of closing things down as a mandatory item. So you'd have to look at those on a case-by-case basis, I think.
And again, I talked to Dr. Adler on Friday, and it is just that. It's a recommendation, and again, that 50-person rule applies to events that are open to the public. But I would guess that we're going to see in the coming days that recommendation has already been strongly endorsed by the CDC. So any other questions for Doug?
Mr. President, I move that we approve Resolution 2020-11-CM, Public Meetings Governing Bodies.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Do we have any unfinished business?
As you mentioned, things are rapidly changing. We received an email just prior to this meeting started from our consultant about health insurance, basically asking us to make a decision about the cost of testing, should that become available. And the recommendation from our consultant is that we accept their recommendation of covering the testing for COVID-19 at no cost share for our members. And if this body chooses to choose that option, I'll complete the necessary paperwork to get that back to Anthem. But I would make the recommendation that we follow their recommendation, or the motion, I should say, to follow their recommendation that we do this at no cost share for our members.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And that motion passes. Any other unfinished or new business?
We do have some department heads about a phone call at 1 o'clock.
Yes, for our department heads that are in the audience, we'll be hosting a phone call at 1 o'clock today. You should have received the email already notifying you of the time of the meeting, and expect a follow-up from our technology staff on how you can join that meeting. Reports on file from the Building Commission, Clerk of the Circuit Court, Crystal Creek Boarding Kennel, Low Cost Spay and Neuter Clinic, the Public Library, and the Treasurer will be on file in the Commissioner's office immediately following this meeting. Anybody from the public wish to speak or make a comment?
Move to adjourn.
We are adjourned.